Okay, so with that being said, we will get started. We want to welcome you all to our program, and we're going to have some tricks and some treats. And here's Larry to tell us about some of the things that are coming up.
Well, thank you, Paula. And again, I too apologize for the gremlins getting into the computer system. Those things happen, unfortunately, but we're just going to go ahead and proceed and have a good time. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some treats. We're going to have some tricks. And the first thing that we're going to do is to take a look at the status of today's travel and also tomorrow's travel. And quite honestly, friends, people are traveling. The picture that you are going to see here in just a moment as Paula gets able to get on top of what we're doing here. There we go. Another little bit of gremlin, Paula, but we'll get this worked out. In fact, this is a group we recently had in Michigan on Mackinac Island. You can see that a very nice sized group. That's one of our personally escorted feature tours. This next slide that is going to be coming up is a picture of a group that I just returned with along with my wife Marilyn a little over a week ago when we did for I think our 24th year, Leaves, Lighthouses, and Lobsters. In addition to that, before the year end is here, we will be having a group of 36 joining us on one of our feature tours of the Mississippi River Holiday Cruise. And then also we'll be doing with another of our feature personally escorted groups, Christmas markets in Europe. So that's all before year end. People are traveling, but not only are they doing that, but I think it's time, Paula, for you to take a look at a little bit of some of the things that maybe we need to go over as to what we're doing here on the future and as you like it and things like that. Okay?
Okay. Before I move on too far, I am going to mention Larry talked a little bit about the groups, and we had a couple of pictures of some recent group trips that we were able to operate this year that we were all excited about. And not only are groups traveling, but we've been working with a lot of independent people that are traveling in what we call the As You Like It part of our business. We had people start traveling again as far back as a year ago, this past August, and has gotten busier and busier. And in September, we had our first travelers return to Europe and into Italy, which ironically was one of the last places that we had people travel before travel shut down. We have quite a few people, and they're not traveling together, departing this next week. So we're really excited about all of that. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is give you one of our travel tricks. And as you're looking ahead and you're planning some of your travels and you're wanting to be sure that you get the best quality and the best value, you need to remember that the name of a tour does not make the tour. When you start to shop and looking for what you want to do, you want to sit down and you want to compare what's actually included. And you want to know that when it says you're going to see something, that you're actually going to experience it and not drive by 75 miles an hour on a highway and the tour manager says, over there is that museum. Another trick that we want to remind people of is a special single service to save you money. It's not that you are ever forced to share accommodations. If you want to be a single, that's normally available in most places, but we often have other singles that are willing to share to save that single supplement. So that's always something to ask about. We don't ever arbitrarily assign roommates. Rather, we make introductions, exchange information, and provide you the opportunity to talk and see if that would be something that would be of interest, and then you and the other person involved make that final decision. Another trick is on our feature tours, there's 100% reservation deposit refund guarantee that's present on almost every feature tour. And in this day and age with things so rapidly changing, that's always very important. So Larry, why don't you share some tricks with us?
Well, rather than that, I'd rather share a treat, Paula.
Or a treat, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, there you go. And one of the treats that really is present in travel, and I think people forget it so often, is that friendships are made that last a lifetime. We got an evaluation back from one of our personnel that were with us on Lee's Lighthouses last week in Maine, and she said, didn't really realize it, but friendships were made. And so, Paula, let's just take a look at a couple of examples of friendships that have been made. First of all, you can see these are people that didn't necessarily know each other before, but they are traveling, they're having a good time. And I would like to call your particular attention to the two photos on the left-hand side, which have the red circles. These are a couple of universities that we represent. In the upper photo, you can see the icon of, or mascot, I should say, of Emporia State University. That's Corky. And he is on the middle of a table where a number of Emporia friends have gotten together, alumni, constituents of the university, and they're traveling together and renewing friendships that they made even when they were in college and certainly in the present day. The same thing is true with the two ladies in the lower left-hand corner. Again, that's a circling, an encirclement of the mascot, Gus, with Pittsburgh State University. And that's another institution that we have the privilege of providing travel arrangements to. So you can look around and you can think back, and we just picked up a few pictures at random to show you that truly a treat of travel is and are the friendships that you can make and that last a lifetime. So Paula, I'll let you go on with some more treats.
Treats. I have to be sure I don't get my tricks and treats confused. So this is number one, and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. We're going to have some trivia questions at various times throughout the program. And when we do, the way that you're going to send those to us is to chat those to us. The first correct answer will be determined the winner. And so that we don't have any more issues, I'm not going to click back and forth into the chat box until we're finished at the end. I think the less we touch things, the better we might be today. So the way that you're going to chat is you're going to see what I usually kind of refer to as a cartoon bubble that's on the little control panel that you have. The little white bubble has kind of a little point like it were coming out of someone's mouth. If you click on that, it will open up an area that you can chat. And you're going to put your answer in there. And then you're going to hit send, and I think it will only indicate that it's coming to the organizer. If it doesn't, you can go back and drop the little window. Mine says everyone, but I think yours maybe will just say either presenter or organizer. So you want to choose that one and send it. And I will tell you which question it is. I'll remind you each time. So this is number one. So you would put number one, and then you would, after you hit number one, then you would put your answer, and then you would hit send, and that will come here. And so again, we are muting everyone, and please, please don't unmute yourselves. So for our first trivia quiz that you're going to chat your answer, and it will automatically tell us who is sending it, so you don't have to worry about that. So the first question for a Dairy Queen gift card is give one thing that would be provided in a tour that would make it a feature tour. And there's been a couple of screens that we've kind of briefly talked about that. So if you don't know, which I bet most of you already know one of those, but if you don't, you would have had the opportunity to maybe have a little help on that. So then we're just going to go on, and then the next time I'll have you do a number two and the answer when we come to the next one. So another travel trick that we want to talk about very briefly today are some of the travel apps. And if you've been to some of our live presentations back prior to the pandemic, you would have maybe gotten a listing of quite a few of those. But one of them that I would like to really mention today is the Colette app. Colette is one of our travel partners that we do quite a few of our feature programs with because they're quality. They've been in business for almost 105 years. They're very financially stable, which is something that's very important and something that we look at very seriously these days. We always did, but even more so these days. During the pandemic, Colette paid back over $130 million to people for trips that were canceled. So the Colette app you can access within 45 days of your departure. It gives you your daily itinerary. It gives you your schedule on the airplanes. Not only that, I have one on my app right now that I'm going to Christmas markets very soon. I can click on any given day. So maybe the day we're in Ober-Ammergau, I can get my hotel, I can get the address, I can get restaurants, I can get entertainment, nightlife, anything and everything that you might have questions about that are near my hotel. It's just absolutely wonderful. So if you're doing a Colette trip and you need help, be sure and let us know, or at least take a look at that, because it certainly is a wonderful app.
Okay, so here's a travel trick too that we would really like for you to consider as you get back into the wonderful world of traveling. And that is probably more so than ever before. It's a trick that will pay great dividends if you are patient, if you are flexible, and if you are adaptable. I mentioned that I just returned with my wife and a group from Leaf Lighthouses and Lobsters in Maine last year, and I need to tell you that everyone that we encountered, whether it happened to be in a restaurant, on an airline, in a TSA checkout line, on the motor coach, or wherever, everyone was exhibiting these traits. We had no one get upset. They were patient, they were flexible, they were adaptable, and really there were absolutely no problems. And interestingly enough, once in a while you would enter into an establishment that would have a sign, uh, masks required. Well, that's fine. For instance, when I went into the Acadia National Park Tourist Bureau to get the permit for our bus to be able to drive through the park, uh, it was required that everyone in the visitor center for the park have on a face mask, and everyone did. No one was making a big deal about it. They were patient, they were flexible, they were doing it. Other than that, masks were not required on our motor coach. They were not required in any of the restaurants that we were on. They were required on airplanes. They were required as one entered into an airport. And I can tell you honestly that we saw absolutely no social distancing anywhere. People were courteous to each other. They were willing to help if something was needed in the way of a mask being presented as a requirement. They all abided, and it just was a wonderful combination of learning the trick in today's travel world to be patient, flexible, and adaptable.
And I used that at the very beginning, Larry, and I don't think you were probably at your desk right then, but I did mention that one a little early.
Okay, good. Well, it's certainly applicable today, isn't it, with that gremlin running around?
So let's talk about as you like it travel. And I mentioned that briefly a little bit earlier in our presentation. And many of you, and we do have some new attendees. So if you're new, let me just explain a little bit about what As You Like It is. Unlike our feature travel programs that have a specific date and go to various destinations, but we have one date that it's going to be personally hosted and have the special features included. As You Like It can be anything that you see advertised. And here's not even a complete listing, but a lot of the preferred suppliers that we use for many of the As You Like It programs. So if there's 2 of you, 4 of you, 6 of you, if you have a group or organization, family reunion, and you've seen something that um, you would like to go to, but our date doesn't work, or you want to have a little bit more freedom in choosing your date and choosing some of the things that are included in a feature that you don't necessarily want, then the As You Like It program would be great. We can work with you to come up with a travel program that fits your dates and includes what you want to include at any time using any major company. We're able to get any past passenger offers or any of the specials that they're advertising are available right here through our offices.
And so now let's take a look at what we call our Please Go Away Vacations personally escorted feature travel. And this is different than what Paula said. This is a selection of specially uh, approved and designations that we are personally hosting a group tour. Then the features of a feature travel are among these. We always add features that the ordinary tour does not have. These can be dining experiences, they can be behind the scene experiences. Another feature that's always present on a Please Go Away feature tour is that you only see one price. We do not try to trick you by giving you a come on price and then start adding necessary things like transfers, luggage handling, port taxes. What you see is what you get, and everything is included. Also, another feature of our personally escorted feature program is that we always have along a personal hostess or host from Please Go Away Vacation to take care of all the details of travel. So you can just simply relax and sit back and go from there. I need to tell you that our repeat factor on our personally escorted feature tours is over 94%. And we have people, and we've been in business for 56 years, we have people that during this time have taken more than 70 of our personally escorted tours. Now, that's not because of us, but that's because of the features and the value that they always find in our personally escorted feature travel tours. So, Paula, let's take a look and see what we have available left in 22 feature travel departures. And the first thing I would like to say is that COVID has created a great demand for people to see the USA. And hearkening back, and I'm sure many of you are old enough to remember this, Dinah Shore that used to sing See the USA in your Chevrolet. Well, we've copied that somewhat, and we're having a complete segment of experiences in 22 that feature See the USA with Please Go Away. And now we're not going to spend a lot of time on these, but we're going to just highlight them for you and move rather quickly through so that you can get a feeling of what you can see in this great nation of ours in 22 and the rest of the that year. So, Paula, let's start out. Spring in the Smoky Mountains. Nice group already reserved on that. That goes in April. And then we go to June. And in June, we go to South Dakota. And this is a hub and spoke experience where we stay in one hotel, go out daily to encompass all the things that we want to see. And it's rather a hidden gem that is going to be found in the great state of South Dakota. Plus, we also go up into Wyoming to see the Devil's Tower. And then next, we move right along. A repeat of this year's very successful tour. Michigan's Mackinac Island, the Grand Hotel, Lilacs, and much more. The picture that you see here is of the Grand Hotel, and unlike other tours that maybe even make you pay your own way to go through the tour, through the hotel on a tour that costs $10, we actually stay there 3 days and 2 nights and enjoy meals there and have the full complement of features that are included in the atmosphere and the ambiance of the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Other parts of Michigan are observed on that particular itinerary. And what you are seeing there is the front of the Grand Hotel that features the world's longest covered porch. That's in June, and it's at a time when you should still see a lot of lilacs blooming on that island. It's a very pleasant, memorable experience. We're going river cruising next, and that's going to be America's History and Quilts River Cruise, June 11 through 19. Uh, we've been able to negotiate here a $1,500 per person guaranteed special group savings as long as spaces remain available. It's in great demand, so you don't want to wait too long. And then also another river cruise that's going to be available is uh, the Best of the Pacific Northwest, featuring the Columbia and Snake River Cruise. Again, part of our country, featuring the Great Northwest.
Oh, Larry, before I move on, even though I did, I just want to point out to everyone to keep, if you're interested on either of those river cruises or perhaps doing one as you like it, keep watching very closely because as we get towards the end, we're going to have a special offer.
All right, Paula, and do watch for that because that's going to be something that can even be considered a Halloween treat. But also continuing on in North America and also this great nation of ours, it's a combination of Canada and the United States. Marvels of the Maritimes, featuring the Cabot Trail. That's in July, and Alaska is almost, well. First of all, our first group to Alaska is all sold out. The first allotment that we have for group space. It just shows the demand for that. This is a complete Alaska experience, and it will be our 48th year in a row of taking groups to Alaska as part of a feature experience. Uh, 48 years, and we see all of Alaska. We do, in addition to a marvelous Inside Passage cruise, we also do the interior of Alaska, where we see and touch the Alaska pipeline. We pan for gold. We see glaciers, all of those things that many people going to Alaska miss. But it is a very popular tour. And I need to say, we also have some As You Like It travelers. We have a group of friends that are going that almost have another group allotment completely sold out, even though they are not truly a group. They're just a number of friends that are traveling together. Plus, we have a lot of individuals going to Alaska on our As You Like It program. But we always have a feature Alaska adventure, and that's going to be in July 26th, August 6th. And then, of course, then comes October. Leaves, lighthouses, and lobsters. Already 18 people have reserved on that trip for next year. Interestingly enough, one of the couples that has already reserved on that tour for next year will be going on that tour for the third time. And as often as one might think, that's a lot of travelers going on a number of years. We need to say that we do have a couple of travelers that have gone on it 4 different times. So it is of interest. It's worth repeating, obviously, and that's our very popular Leaves, Lighthouses, and Lobsters tour. Another feature tour because it includes many behind-the-scenes features, such as a lobster boat experience, 2-hour seminar at sea, meeting and greeting with actual farmers of cranberries and blueberries and things of this nature, things that the ordinary tour does not experience because we've added these features. And then, sort of rounding out the year, we're going to be experiencing a Santa Fe holiday. It's going to be November 29 through December 4, and it's going to feature the Christmas decorations and uh, history and practices of our great America Southwest. And so that is what we have as a great look. And I would like to then bring out another travel trick for your consideration. We don't do bus tours. We do motor coach plus tours, and they are different from a bus tour. So, Paul, bring up that next slide. Let me use as an example. I mentioned that we just returned from Leaves, Lighthouses, and Lobsters in Maine. Uh, if you were to take a bus tour from here in central United States and drive to Bar Harbor, Maine, which is where we stay, you would have to travel a total of 1,958.1 miles via the interstate, seeing nothing but traffic, and that would take a minimum of 4 days to get there and a minimum of 4 days to return. That's very ineffective cost wise because you're having to buy more hotel nights, you're having to buy more meals, and quite honestly, there's not much of anything more boring than sitting for 500 miles a day on a bus looking at the painted center line and sidelines of the highway. By contrast, a motor coach plus tour avoids those 4 days. In a matter of hours, for instance, this past week or so, we flew out of Wichita and Kansas City uh, early in the morning, and by mid afternoon, we were in our hotel relaxing and enjoying. In a matter of hours, what a bus tour would take 4 days to do, we got there. Once we arrived, we had our own private motor coach that we used for an entire week that took us throughout most of Maine to see that which we were really wanting to see and do. And we did it for an entire week as opposed to bus tours that might give you a day at the destination or 2 days or something like that. So our motor coach tours, our motor coach plus tours, feature a combination of quick air travel and an in-depth experience on a quality motor coach once you get to the destination and the heart of what it is you really want to see. You save time, you save money, and you have much greater in-depth experiences with a motor coach plus tour than you ever will with a bus tour. So moving on, Paula.
Okay, it's time for another travel treat. So get your little bubble open and get ready. Please Go Away Vacations has been taking groups to Alaska for many years. How many years? If you were paying attention, that one should be really easy. The winner of this one, and this will be number 2, and then your answer. And the winner of this one gets a magic coin. And again, for those of you who are not familiar with a magic coin, it's a 50-cent piece. And when it's applied to a trip, meeting all the fine print, so it has to be something that it's qualifying travels, it will multiply and be worth $50 toward a feature travel experience.
So you're saying it magically increases in 100 times in value if the people take advantage of it. Is that what you said, Paula? 100 times?
100 times.
There you go. That's pretty much magic. Sorry to
That's
interrupt.
magic. The gremlins can do that, Larry.
Right. There you go. Okay, moving on. Let's take another look at another
travel treat.
Yeah, so you go right ahead with that.
Okay. We have a travel treat today that's surprise for everyone, and I'm really glad that we did this with all of the little snafu at the beginning. Everyone who's in attendance today is going to get a $10 travel gift card. And the people who we did have quite a few people for legitimate reasons couldn't attend, but they did RSVP. So everyone in attendance and or RSVPing that they were not able to attend will get the travel gift card. So that's a pretty nice treat. Larry, why don't you share a trick?
Well, okay. And I am speaking from an experience, and I need to be truthful to you. Prior to traveling this last time to Maine, I really did not see the value in a TSA pre-check situation. Now, this is a system where you can apply and get approved as a safe traveler. You pay, I think it's $85, and for 5 years, you can avoid the long TSA security lines at an airport. Quite honestly, in the past, in my opinion, it wasn't worth it. But I tell you, more people are traveling today through airports than we have ever seen before. For example, in both the Chicago airport, the Wichita airport, and the Bangor, Maine airport, lines were longer for security checkouts or security screens than we have ever seen before. And Marilyn, that's my wife, and I looked at each other and said, you know, we need to check out TSA PreCheck. So that's a trick that I think you ought to consider. That would be great value. And every indication is, ladies and gentlemen, that travel is a pent up emotion and desire. And if what I saw going to and from Maine by way of Wichita, Chicago, and Bangor is any indication, uh, all of us are in line, pun intended, for a long wait at TSA security check-ins if we don't have something like the TSA PreCheck. Check it out, see what you think, but it's a trick that I think is worth considering. Okay, so we mentioned that we are seeing the USA with Please Go Away, but at the same time, we have a number of people in our feature travel experiences, personally escorted, that want to see the world outside the United States with Please Go Away. And so, taking a look at 22, we're going to show you quickly what we're going to be doing on an international basis. In March, we'll be going to Greece for the Best of Greece. That's going to be followed then in April.
Excuse me. I'd like
Yes.
to interrupt you real quick. We
Okay,
do have
you bet.
a single female on the Greece trip that would be willing to share accommodations. So if there's anybody listening or anybody that knows of someone who might have an interest, be sure and either chat us and we'll get information to you, or give us a call tomorrow, email, or somehow let us know that you might have some interest or know someone, and we'll see if we can get them hooked up.
All right, so that's an excellent point, Paula, and certainly that's part of our special single service. That doesn't cost anything. We don't arbitrarily assign roommates. We introduce, and quite honestly, it's worked very, very wonderful over the years. And that opportunity that you just described could turn into quite a treat and save hundreds of dollars for the parties involved. So next, let's take a look at France at its best. This is going to be everything that's the best about France, including the beaches of Normandy on the north, clear through the entire country to the shores of the Mediterranean. It's in April, springtime in Paris. If you're listening to the music in your ears ringing right now, we know that Paris and France as a nation is beautiful in the springtime. And then, of course, Europe would not be complete unless you experienced Switzerland and Italy and the Alps. And we're going to take a different spin on this feature tour because we're going to be doing the lakes and trains of the Alps. And this is going to be in July, a very good time to be there, and certainly a good time to enjoy a different aspect, the trains and the views that one experiences from those means of transportation.
We also have a single opportunity on Lakes and Trains of Switzerland for a female traveler as well.
Very good, Paula. Great, thank you. And Greenland and Iceland, plus Ireland and England. Paula is going to be hosting that. Delightful groups already reserved. Departure is assured. And we have just a very few spaces remaining on that, Paula. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that goes in August. And then, of course, the safari of all safaris, searching for the Big Five in Kenya and Tanzania, that will go in September. And Paula also will be escorting that. Departure is assured because we have a sufficient number already reserved that are going to go out and experience the very best of both Kenya and Tanzania. Now, we have chosen the time of September and early October because of the Great Migration. And if you've ever wanted to see nature at its finest, it's seeing the movement of wild animals as they do their annual Great Migration. And one of the best experiences that I've ever had was when we took advantage several years ago of one of the features that we add to safaris when we are in East Africa and Tanzania, and that's a hot air balloon at sunrise. a hot air balloon ride at sunrise. And what I have in my mind's eye as I speak right now is as far as the eye could see, stretching from the left to the right of the horizon, were wild animals in the great migration that I observed from the silence and surroundings of a hot air balloon ride experience. Other tours don't do this. We include it. It's one of the features that make up the feature aspect of Please Go Away feature tours. So, Paula, that takes us through 22, I think. So why don't you go ahead and run with some more?
Well, I think we need another travel treat, and this will be number 3. So get your bubbles ready and your fingers ready to type. This is for Applebee's gift card. If you want to go sit on the world's longest covered porch, where would you go to? Specifically, where would you go to? So we're already planning for 2023. And we're even looking a little bit earlier this year than we have in some years, and it's a little early for contracts, but we've got some ideas about some of the things that we'd like to do. So if you're interested in some of these, you might let us know if you've got some ideas and something you might like to see worked in. We're always excited to hear some new ideas, so please share with us if there's something you're kind of looking at. First up, in January of 23, I'm going to be taking a Panama Canal cruise, and we're going to be going on the Emerald Princess, which is too big for the old locks. So we're assured that we're going through the new locks. I'm doing this and taking my husband. It's his about every 5-year get to go with me trip. You'll notice the gold lettering, and that's because we'll be celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary. And we're going to make it a celebration cruise. And you don't have to be celebrating anniversary. You could be celebrating retirement, a birthday, or just the fact that we're able to get out and go places again. But we have a really nice group and not a lot of spaces remaining, to be very honest. It's a true feature tour with all kinds of included items. So if you're interested, please let us know and we'll get information to you right away so that you can make up your mind. And as Larry mentioned early on, it is a feature and there is a 100% refund guarantee. So no reason to delay. A tour that is kind of interesting because we had gotten some information about Majestic, Montana, and thought, Montana, what in the world is there? Independently, our team members all read through the information, and when we had our normal morning meeting, it was like, we've got to do that. There is so much more to Montana than one would ever think. So Majestic, Montana, you may want to get details on that as soon as it's available and consider going away with us. The spotlight tours or hub and spoke tours that Larry talked about, we have several in 22, are really popular. It seems that people are wanting to stay in one place and do day trips out. Returning to the same hotel kind of limits your exposure to being in a lot of different hotels, as well as not having to be in a bus and travel long distances to get to another town. So also new for 2023 is Surprising Savannah. A lot of history, a lot of beautiful city squares. The food in that area is wonderful. So think about joining us on that exciting departure. Another area that's been very popular and lots to see and do is the Best of Tennessee. It'll hit some of the main areas and do some neat things that only is available in those kinds of areas. We've not been to Italy for several years, and so we decided that Intriguing Italy would be another good fit for our feature tours. This particular trip that we have done is a repeat of probably, I would say, the most popular itinerary that we have done. And it does what I like to call all of Italy. I had been to Italy 4 times and had still not gotten to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We found this tour and it did everything that I loved, plus included Pisa and some other really neat areas up in the Lakes District up north. So join us for Intriguing Italy. Another one of my favorite tours is experiencing all of Ireland. Many tours do the British Isles, which is a fabulous trip. But one of the really neat things about this one is you do all of the southern part of Ireland, but you also go up to the northern part, see Giant's Causeway, spend some time in Belfast. If you have any interest in the Titanic, there is a museum there that is just out of this world. I was there, and I'm not a museum person, but I just thought it was fabulous. There's just so much to see. It's almost impossible to see it all in the time, and we spent several hours there. So another trip that is worth considering when you begin to look for 23. River cruising has become very popular, so we are planning to do some more things on the river in 23. We're planning to do one on the Mississippi River with a New Orleans Plus package so that you can experience New Orleans itself. We're also going to be doing another part of the river that actually runs together. So you start out and you do the Cumberland, the Tennessee, and the Mississippi. A lot of history, a lot of the battlefields for the Civil War. Not overdo it, but just a really good taste of what's there. So it's for history buffs and anyone else that's interested in life on the river. Another new part, American Queen has purchased some other areas, and they also have the Victory Cruise, and they're doing voyages up there, and they're actually going to be adding some new ships. But they'll be doing North America, kind of between the States and Canada, up in the Great Lakes area. Some of them even go on over east into the ocean, up through the Great Lakes, St. Lawrence Seaway. There's some that go to Niagara Falls. Chicago is a port on some, Michigan a port on some. So even if the one we're doing as a feature isn't exactly what you want to do, you might also consider doing different itinerary as part of the As You Like It if the one we select isn't what you're thinking. Another beautiful, beautiful area in the spring is going to the Netherlands and doing a Tulip Time River cruise. It's a beautiful area, and I can't think of any area that's more beautiful than Quakenhof Gardens with all the tulips. When you go to land in Amsterdam and you're coming down, you can, instead of looking down and seeing wheat fields, you see tulip fields. Of course, that's never guaranteed because weather can make that a little different, but there's bound to be some, and it's beautiful to look down and see. Just prior to COVID, we had a Colonial Williamsburg Christmas trip that was very popular. That was not able to operate that year, so we're going to try that again. A lot of history and celebrations in Colonial Williamsburg at the over the holidays. It's just a very beautiful, down-earth, fun thing to experience. Another hub and spoke trip that you stay in one place and then kind of do local things and experience trips out from there is going to be the Best of Boston. What really caught my eye on this one is, it won me that I think we have to do this one, is the fact that it goes to Salem, and this is Halloween, and that's where all the witch museums and a lot of information is in Salem, which is one of the included things on this trip that I think will be exciting. I do a little bit of ancestry, and my 8th great-grandmother was killed for being accused of being a witch. So I want to go there, and I want to go to that museum. So Larry, let's get this finished.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, travel is marvelous. And I would like to have you put this into your mind if you haven't already. But truly, what travel is all about is synopsized in this saying: travels are memories made and shared that are never forgotten. Please think about that as we go forward. And Paula, it's your turn.
Okay. So we are accepting reservations, obviously, for, I think there's still availability on everything that we did show you today for 2022. 2023, the canal cruise obviously is in place. Some of the things after that are not contracted. We will shortly be taking As You Like It, or no, I beg your pardon, PIUP, Put Yourself in Position deposits on some of the 2023 things. So we'll be emailing details about some of those once we have a little bit more information. So all reservations for 2022 and 2023 that are in place by noon on November the 12th will get your name into a drawing to be held for a $50 gift card. Now, the only restrictions are that you had to be in attendance today or watch the recording, because it will indicate to us when it's watched. If someone is not in attendance and they watch, they will also go in, and then it would need to be placed onto qualifying travels. So you might be thinking if there's something you want to do. There are still some of the tours in place that there would be 100% refund guarantee. Some of those are passed, but not all of them. So one lucky winner from all reservations. And you'll receive a gift card similar to what you see here once that winner is announced on Friday, November the 12th. Another treat that we have for you, we were visiting with our contact at American Queen on Friday and said we were having a presentation today and we were going to be still pushing some of our trips coming up and things of that nature. And she said, well, give away a $50 onboard credit to anybody making reservations on any of the American Queen voyages. So any reservations, whether it's a feature American Queen voyage or an As You Like It, that is under deposit by December 31st or based on availability, will automatically get a $50 per person American Queen onboard credit that you can use on board the boat. So Larry, let's recap some of the things that people need to remember from what they've seen today.
Right. Our tricks that we've tried to give out today are things that we truly believe in and believe that can be very useful to you. In other words, tricks that you can use to your advantage. Briefly recapping them, remember these things. The name of a tour does not make the tour. It's what's included in the price that does. Our special single service that Paula has referred to and given a couple of examples where applying that trick can save hundreds of dollars for both parties involved. Our deposit refund guarantee, we're the only one that has that type of thing. We're proud of it. The travel apps that Paula mentioned and the co-let feature, one that she discussed in greater detail, are tricks that you can use. I really believe going forward in travel and in life, really, post-COVID, we're all going to need to be patient, flexible, and adaptable. And I do also recommend that you check out PreCheck and make an independent decision as to whether you think that would be a trick that you could use to your advantage. So Paula, let's move back to you and you talk about some of the treats.
Okay. The treats are the friendships that are made. We're going to look here shortly and we'll have our Dairy Queen gift card winner. We talked about the benefits of a Motor Coach Plus tour and not having to ride long distances. We're going to have a Magic Coin winner. We're going to send everybody a $10 Please Go Away Vacations gift card. We're going to have an Applebee's dining card. We talked about the $50 Please Go Away Vacations gift card winner to one lucky winner on November the 12th, and the $50 American Queen onboard credit for I believe it does have to be on a 22 sailing. So let's go in and look at if there's any questions. And if no one has asked any questions, we'll get to that shortly, unless they will have to get through these winners first. So bear with me. We'll find. Okay. Our first winner for the Dairy Queen gift card, number one. So that is something that's included in the feature programs is insurance, and that winner is Jack Howerton. And I'm just going to jot these down here. They registered in, I guess, as Leela Jean and Jack. So we have them. And some of the other answers that came in, and they're listed in order, but making friends, a local host, host and special group only events, gratuities and deposit return if the trip canceled, personal escort. So some of these we had not discussed, and people are just very familiar. Number two, Joe Dewar was the first correct answer, going to Alaska for 48 years. So congratulations, Joe. You were the winner of the Magic Coin. And we have lots of 48s. We have lots of other numbers too. And okay, there is a question, and we'll come back to that one. Our winner for number 3 is Mackinac Island, is the winner of the Applebee's card to sit on the world's longest covered porch is Mackinac Island, and our winner is Ellen Green. And we have lots of Mackinac Islands. We even have some Mackinac Island Grand Hotels. Okay, so let me go back to the questions. We do have a question, Larry, and about TSA. There is a question as to where to go about getting the TSA that you mentioned as a recommendation.
And that excellent question. Thank you for asking it. Whoever did that, Paula has access to who did. I don't. But there is a website, and I believe it's www.tsa.gov, G-O-V, period, that you can go to, and within that framework, you will find the TSA application procedure that needs to be followed. It's very simple. It doesn't take very long to fill out. You can do it online, and then they will tell you what additional requirements may be made. They will quite honestly check you out to make sure that you're a safe travel, because that's what they are acknowledging by giving you a known traveler number by virtue of TSA, and that's how you can avoid taking off your shoes and standing in long lines and having to take your jackets off and having to take things out of your carry-ons and things like that. TSA pre-check avoids all of that. So TSA.gov, give that a look, and if you have any questions, we can even go a little bit further with you and provide you more information if you need it. But I think that'll get that to you.
Okay, and we have a couple people that have commented and said that they have it. One has even indicated that she's had it for almost 5 years and can attest to the fact that it's definitely well worth it.
Excellent. Well, that's great that we have that observation. So, good.
Okay, and the next question is, um, Ray, COVID-19 passport required for domestic travel and or international travel, required vaccinations or voluntary for travel. And so Larry, do you want to handle that?
Well, I can handle some of it, and I think you should handle some of it, Paula, because
Okay.
there's not one hard and fast answer, I don't think, to that. First of all, generally within the United States, uh, what we're finding is that for instance, when we did our Leaves Lobsters Lighthouses trip, whether we were vaccinated or not never came up. I do know, however, that my wife and I will be hosting 36 of our friends on our Mississippi River cruise, that everybody that goes on that boat is going to have to show that they have been vaccinated, and take the card, not a copy, but the original, and show that they have been vaccinated. And also, Paula, then why don't you get into some of the testing requirements, particularly on foreign situations, because it differs completely. But it's one of the advantages that you have by working with us on a feature tour, because, or even on your As You Like It tour, because our commitment is to you. We owe allegiance to nobody else other than to our travel friends and clients, and we're going to continually monitor and inform of changes as they occur or requirements that may or may not be applicable to your particular travels. But you cannot go online, you cannot listen to somebody's quote on Facebook and think they know the gospel, because nobody knows the exact answer. It changes overnight.
And that's very true. Also, as far as like requirements, I cannot right now think of any travel or cruise line that at least through the end of the year, and most are even into at least the first part of 22, that are requiring that everybody be vaccinated, and I need to say fully vaccinated, in order to even go on the trip. For instance, the American Queen, not only do you have to show up with your vaccination card in hand, you're going to be tested at that pre-night before you get onto the boat. Um, that's just kind of one of the typical things. Um, as far as recommendations, and I'm going to reiterate exactly what Larry said, you do not want to just go on to any website on the internet and read the requirements and restrictions. And here's a perfect example. I'm going to Germany to the Christmas markets in early December. And so I just pulled up one day quick and was reading, and I read three things. And one of them said you could have a PCR or an antigen test. One said you only could have a PCR test, and one indicated you did not have to be tested. Um, so, even for us, we deal with quality companies, so that when there is a discrepancy, and things are changing. So because you read that a month ahead or whatever, it does not mean that the rules will still be the same by the time you go. They're different for every country, and they are even different. Germany, for example, is not even the same throughout Germany. They're different states, sometimes even cities. Even here in the States, there are cities that have different requirements, and restrictions. So it's just not a black or white. There's so much that goes. So you do need to be careful and know that for sure what you're looking at when you get ready to go.
And Paul, I would really like to emphasize, if I might interrupt, that our team is committed to keep our travelers advised to the best of our ability. And we monitor it daily, and everyone who has made their travel arrangements with us will receive that kind of personal attention. Unfortunately, that's not true for the internet goblin that people have used in the past, but really got stung when COVID came down the pike. So be aware, nothing. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Deal with somebody you know and have confidence in. Hopefully that's us, but if not, deal with someone else in which you have confidence. Okay? Sorry to
Okay,
interrupt,
thank you.
Paula.
That's okay. Um, and one of our participants from the Mackinac trip has commented that she was amazed that in our group of 36, I can't remember what we had,
I think it was 36.
that it was interesting to her that everybody on that trip was fully vaccinated. And, you know, it was interesting because when we went to the island, the laws that were in Michigan were such that we had to wear a mask. We were there 2 nights. By the time we got off the island, boarded the ferry to leave the island, that had changed and we no longer had to wear the mask if we were vaccinated. So that's just how quickly things are changing. There's a question about they saw a trip that they liked and would like information, and how can they get more information. So if you would send us an email or give us a call, and on at the end there will be a slide with contact information. Let us know. We'd be happy to send that to you. Okay, we showed 2 river cruises for 22 that are feature tours. There's a question as to the discounts. The Quilt Cruise had a much larger discount than the Pacific Northwest group discount, and there's a question as to why that is.
Well, two things. First of all, the Pacific Northwest is a tremendously popular destination, and so in the finest form of free enterprise, American Queen came out with this type of situation. Also, and they made the determination. We're not making that determination. Those discounts are not provided by us. We never give away anything. Those discounts or those incentives are provided by the cruise line in and of itself. The other Quilt Cruise was, well, both of these were booked very early, and we were able to take advantage of the programs that they have. In reality, I think that American Queen realizes that the demand is greater for the Northwest Rivers cruise than probably Quilting Cruise, although quilts apply to special interests. And I would like to emphasize that I would love to do that cruise, and I don't have one single interest in quilting. But what I do have is an interest in the American history and the Civil War history that will also be available for people like me who don't like the quilting aspect of it, and available. And I know quite honestly that our personal hosts and hostess on this trip share that same dichotomy of thought, and so it's sort of, we really don't know the reason that American Queen set those discounts, but those incentives and all are determined by American Queen. And many of them are not available now. We only have them because we work 18 to 24 months in advance in contracting with these companies.
And if I'm not mistaken, the boat that is the Empress is smaller than American Queen as well, so the demand is much greater.
Yeah, I think that's true. Supply and demand. That's true.
Okay, and then one last question, it looks like, unless something else comes. And I'll just go back over, there's a question about they did not catch everything when I talked about the singles. So single opportunities, I mentioned that there were 2 for females, one on the Best of Greece and one on the Lakes and Trains of the Alps. And then as well, we don't arbitrarily assign, and what we do is so that there is a good faith effort. If there's something that you want to sign up for and we don't have someone, is if you pay your deposit, which is fully refundable up until the 100% date, then we advertise, but we do ask that you pay a deposit so that we don't find someone to room with you, introduce you, and then you say, I decided I don't want to go. So we do ask that you place a deposit on a trip that you're interested in prior to us asking people if for asking if there's other single ladies. We would exchange emails or phones, or if you're close, we would introduce you if you're both, in areas that we could do that. But it's strictly your decision whether you prefer to pay the single or whether you would prefer to try to have someone to room with to share that money. So I think that's it for our questions. And so
let me say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. We appreciate the time you've given us. And quite honestly, it looks like about 2/3 of our group were able to get in. The gremlin, for some reason, kicked out maybe the remaining third. We will make sure that everyone gets a recording of this presentation. We apologize in this day and age of computer technology. Every once in a while, a gremlin, fittingly on Halloween, can get into your system and create havoc. We apologize, but we do thank you. So, Paula, wrap it up for us, please.
Okay. Sorry. So here's the contact information that I mentioned to you. You can contact us anytime at answers@travelpleasegoaway.com or call us. We're open Monday through Friday. And our toll-free number is 1-800-362-9347. Thank you all. And if you think of additional questions, please be sure to contact us. We look forward to you going away with us soon. Thank you.